call our authentication. So we have to first, because it is an optional, we have to check if it is null or not. So let's do that. I will say if this is not equals to null, then I will use it to create a Google sign-in authentication variable. So again, Google sign-in authentication. I will call it Google sign-in authentication, and this would again be an await, and using our first variable, which is Google sign-in account dot authentication, and we have this. Now using this, we will call our auth credentials, which will be basically what it is doing is when you click on sign in, this function will basically call your web page to sign in with Google, right? So all these steps are for that. So let's create our auth credential. So auth credential, final auth credential, I will call it auth credential, and again using our okay, not we won't be using this. We have a function called Google auth provider. Okay, not provider ID, we will say credentials. So it will take the credentials which you will be entering, and so not exactly the username and password, it takes the access token, and we can get the access token with Google authentication dot access token, and it also take an ID token, and this would be Google authentication again dot ID token. Okay, so this is it. Now let's put okay, and we will have last thing to use. So with this auth credential, we will be able to log in. So what we'll do, we will use this auth, Firebase auth. So again, this would be a wait underscore auth dot, and now our final function, which will make us, which will finally, which will basically finally log us in, sign in with credential, and we have this auth credential. That is it for this sign in. And in this, instead of catch, I will say for a particular exception, that would be Firebase auth exception. So if during the exception, if we get this, we will catch it, and I will just simply return print the exception. You can return it and handle it in the way you want, and then throw a, because I mean we are in try catch block, and if there is an error we will throw it as well. So basically what we are doing, we are just calling our Google authentication, and this will basically open up our web browser. In that, you will use with this auth credential provider, when you will log in, this auth credential provider will get some access token and ID token, and using that auth credential, we have in Firebase, we have this sign in with the credential, and then we will provide this auth credential, and we are all good. So just simple step, first get the sign in account. This will basically open up the web page. Second, we will do our authentication. We will, from once user enter their username and password and they are signed in, it will take the credential and then sign in our application using this Firebase authentication, right? So this much of code and you are good to go with Google sign-in. That's how great it is. Okay, for sign out also, this is very simple. All you have to do is call the sign out on both Google sign in and auth. So in auth, there is simple method like sign out, and similarly await again, and we have sign in, Google sign in, and with this also sign out. So both of these sign out will have to do, then only our user will be completely signed out. So with this, I can now use this Firebase services and call this sign in with Google method to sign in, and then sign out with this. So let's go to our login.dart, and before going to home screen, I will first log in actually. So again, as we had written an asynchronous function, we will have to make sure we are calling it inside an async. So we have to say async, and then over here we say await firebase services dot sign in with Google. Okay, so this will sign you in. Okay, and then in the home screen on the logout, again very simple, we will have to say await, and let's make it async, and I'll call Firebase services dot sign out. So that will sign us out. So let's test it. Let's run our application. Let's close it, run our application, and then see how it works. Okay, so our app is running now. No error is there, so that is a good sign. You have to make sure when you are running a Google sign in type of application, you need to have your emulator with Play Store. So what you have to do is go to your Android Studio and make sure the emulator in which you are running, Play Store is available in that emulator. Okay, otherwise it will throw you an error. Okay, so let's click on login, and it throws in an error. Okay, so the problem is we did not initialize our Firebase, so that is a huge problem. So let's go to our main.dart, and before running our application, what we have to do is we have to call a widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized, and it will ensure that our Firebase is initialized. And I'll say await Firebase, let's say async as well over here, otherwise it will complain. Async Firebase dot initialize app. That should be good. So this is the first step you should do when you add Firebase, which we missed. So no problem, now we have added. Let's run it again. Okay, so our app is running now. Let's click on login with Gmail, and it should open us. Okay, so I have already logged in like while testing. So you will be taken to a screen where you'll have to enter your email ID and password. I've already entered, so it says that which account you want to select. I will select this account, and it will do some processing, and it comes to the screen, right? So as we had seen in our login.dart, after once this is done, we will move to home screen, and in the home screen, when we click on sign out, it will sign out and take us back to the screen. So let's do that again. So let's do this, log out, and we are logged out. Log in with Gmail. It will again ask you to select your account and enter. And you have many other things to do, like you will get access to your account, like the user which has entered, like the user which has signed in, you will get all the details about that user. So let's just show some user details. So I will just wrap it in a column and keep it in center because I don't want it. Okay,